Good morning again for the second time today. So this is the weekly wrap-up session. We just completed a full week, one day early because of tomorrow's webinar. I don't want to try to fit this and a webinar in the same day. So completed the week of study 1 week or one day early. Today we'll hit our stats. We'll review our stats for the week like we do at the end of every week. We'll review our plan from the start of the week. We'll cover day by day what we learned. And then I'll review the one sheet notes that I made for the entire week of study. I'll also review the 5-question quiz, and you will be receiving all of these in the email, the wrap-up email that I'll send out after this study stream. And then, of course, we'll get to wrapping up the full 28 days of poker study journey. This is it, the final stream of this journey of the first season 1 of the 28 days of study. So real quick, before we get going too much further, I shall alert the world via the Facebooks, via the Twitteroonies, that we are doing this. So hopefully we'll get a few people joining real soon like. Looking good. Okay, cool beans. So let's get to it. Reviewing our stats for the week. Right here. So if we look at our stats for the week from the 23rd through the 28th, I played 2,200 hands, which is pretty good. I was up a little over 1 buy-in, 1.2 buy-ins to be a little bit closer there, 5.6 big blinds per 100, and overall it was pretty good. You can see the stats. I'm getting a bit more aggressive right now, just a little bit, but I'm working on that, upping my aggression bit by bit. I don't want to go crazy and suddenly be a 30-25 player. 22-17 is good. Maybe next week I'll be a 24-18. Just gradually working my way up. I think with my solid play style, I don't need to jump in and be super aggressive right away. It's something I'm slowly building into my game, more aggression. I'll probably go through my opening ranges and start adjusting them, especially my cut off the button and the small blind opening ranges, adding a bit more hands, adding more hands to my big blind when the small blind open raises, or when the small blind limps in, that kind of stuff, so that I can up my aggression when I'm in position, cutoff button, and big blind versus small blind. So those are the stats right there, but let's get to this, where I've already recorded my stats for the week. So leading up to the week right now, you saw at the beginning of the week, I changed the format, all new stats and stuff, and these stats correspond to Leak Tracker within Poker Tracker 4, the Leak Tracker stats right here. So you can see year to date, before I started this whole 28 days of study, week to week right there, I've had 3 losing weeks in a row, but finally brought it back with a positive week. Altogether, you can see we're down a lot, and we'll cover that later on. But all in all, it was a pretty good journey. You can see I remained pretty tight aggressive throughout the first 3 weeks, but then this past week I upped it a little bit right there. I'm at 22-17. You could see the average winning regs numbers right here. Bumped up the 3-bet, which is good. C-betting the flop a little low, and then you can see down here, C-betting the turn is even lower. For whatever reason, this past week, I just turned into a little bit more of a turn honest player. You can see leading up until now, 56-51, relatively the same player, flop and the turn. 67, 50, 60 to 56, same number practically. 66, 62, tiny difference, tiny bit turn honest. But here, big time, 13% difference, getting really turn honest. So if my opponents are paying attention, they will stick with me through the turn, and then if they are out of position, they will bet the river, or if they're in a position on the turn, take advantage of me and bet when I check the turn. So stuff I need to work on right there for sure, and I'll continue working on that. Hey, thanks, Old Man Poker. Thanks for the congrats on making it. I appreciate it. Yep. So let's see. Flop AF. You can see I'm getting my aggression factor is bumping up a little bit there. Flop aggression frequency is good too. Fold to flop c-bet. So this is one thing I was working on. I felt like I was folding just way too much. You could see I was at the top of the average winning regs numbers. Now 48 is pretty darn good, right in the middle. I am not just automatically folding when I whiff. I'm looking for spots when I can possibly float the flop, check raise as a bluff, or whatever the case is. I'm doing things so that I'm not folding so often there. Folding the flop bet is still a little high, but that's maybe when I'm not the C better, when I'm facing a donk lead, whatever the case is. It's still a little high. I need to get that down. But when it comes to C bets, I'm not folding as much, and I'm happy about that. Turn AF, fold a turn, da-da-da. River AF, you can see I'm getting more aggressive on the river. River aggression frequency, more aggressive there. I'm happy with those numbers. This, I guess, if you look at that, but it feels like I'm doing things right on the river, making some good bluffs. I believe so. So I'm going to stick with those numbers. I'm not going to purposely try to drop the river aggression. Not just yet. But we'll see as time goes on, Attempt to steal, getting up there, good. As you can see, of course, I'm increasing my VPIP and PFR, and part of the way to do that is, or to do it smartly, I guess, to do it without too much risk, is to increase your steals from the cutoff, the button, and the small blind. My fold to steal, roughly the same, right in the middle there too. That's a good number. I'm happy with that right there. Small blind 3-bet re-steal. Just like I wanted to do at the beginning of the week, I've upped these puppies. I've looked for good spots with medium to, of course, bigger pocket pairs to be 3-betting. The suited aces, offsuit aces, king, queen suited, and I've found just various, like 9-10 suited, random hands, not necessarily random, hands that can flop really well, that makes sense to do a 3-bet bluff with. In case you get called, you could hit something very lovely on the flop with these hands. I'm not just doing it with like Jack 4 offsuit or anything. If I'm 3-bet bluffing, it's with a decent hand versus a player who I think can fold, or fold on the turn, or flop or turn as well. One money at showdown, not so good. I would like that a little bit better. You could see went to showdown, only 24%, pretty low. One win saw a flop, that's really low, and it's been low this whole time. And the reason why is I give up post flop too much. I give up on the turn and the river especially too much. And so this is part of my overall game plan. You saw up here that I am folding to fold to flop c-bet a lot less now. So I'm working on it. It's not where I want to be, but I'm getting better. Fold to turn c-bet is still pretty darn high there. So maybe I need to fold a little bit more on the flop so that I have kind of stronger ranges when I get to the turn. So I fold less on the turn. So it's all a constant process of just adjusting my play from street to street and learning as I play, reviewing these stats, looking for leaks with the filters, all that stuff. You can see the win rates right here. Lovely win rates. Now, this -76, that's better than -100. If I folded every big blind, I'd be at -100 big blinds per 100 hands. But it's just, it's like that first week, just a really ugly number. But it's only 2.2K, 2,200 hands. It's a small sample. I probably had a few really big losing hands that made that super ugly. But everything else is positive. Even the small blind is positive. Great. See the flop in position 139, out of position 148, which means I saw the flop in position 48% of the time. Anywhere near 50% is good. I really want to be above 50%, which means more stealing in the cutoff and the button. More stealing in the MP when the cutoff and the button fold a lot and the blinds are foldy players, which is good as well. And less calling out of the blinds. Preferably less calling, more 3-bet and 3-bet bluffing out of the blinds in order to take the pot right there, as well as avoiding, if I call a lot less out of the blinds, I'm avoiding out of position post flop play so much. Yeah, so things are looking really good. At the end of this, we'll go through and we'll fill out the numbers for the whole 4-week total. Do that in just a little bit, but let's get up to wrapping up this week right here. Okay, so this week's goals at the beginning of the week. So if we look at our weekly plan up here, this was all the stuff I wanted to hit for the week. So this week's goals, hitting 2,000 hands. Yes, I did it, 2,200 hands. That's a good for me. I'm happy about that. Because I had a busy week, a shortened week because I was out of town too and stuff. So warm up prior to each session with emphasis on tilt and anger management, logic statements, all that jazz. Yep, I completed that. We'll look at that in a little bit, but I did warm up prior to each session, and I did the cool down prior to each session, so I'm happy about that for sure. Study streams, yep, 2 on Wednesday, 2 on Tuesday, Wednesday, 1 on Thursday, 1 today, and then this wrap up, which is officially finished with my 28 days. And the wrap up. Oh yeah, finished the full 28 days of poker study 1 day early. Yep. And then play stream, I wanted to put out 2 play streams. I only put out 1. I did record some game tape, and we reviewed it on Wednesday this past week. It's not exactly a play stream on Twitch though, so I only did one, 50% complete there. So, some hypotheses I had typed out before starting my week of study on assessing and preventing tilt. So, if I do proper warm-ups before each session, I'll have a better chance of staving off tilt. And yes, I believe this to be the case. Only once did the anger start rising when I was 4 buy-ins down in a session. But I kept my cool, battled back to be down just 2 buy-ins, which I'm really happy about that. That was, let me see here. Select date, not the 20th. I don't remember what day it was. I didn't play on the thing, 25th? No, 25th I was 1 buy-in down. Not a great day. 26th, okay. Yeah, this was the day I didn't look at it mid-session, but I estimate that I was down roughly 4, somewhere between 3 and 4 buy-ins. And, I battled back, avoided the tilt, and then started making good decisions, definitely. So that was the ugly day right there. And then really good on the 27th, just yesterday, shebang, 4 buy-ins up over 700 hands. So that was really, really lovely right there. I just got hit in the head with the deck. Sets and straights and flushes, oh my, The next hypothesis, if I clear my plate prior to each session, as in remove distractions, I'll experience less tilt, more focused play, and more fun. And this seems to be the case because I only played when it was the only thing on my docket, and I addressed other things that I had to do and made a plan to tackle them later. So I ditched the distractions. I didn't complete everything. Like, for example, I had to do the podcast, but I played some poker before the podcast. But instead of having it weigh on my mind, I made the plan, I'm going to play poker right now for an hour. Once I'm done, I'm going to hit the podcast. So that's basically like removing the distraction. By putting something off and planning it for later, you effectively remove that distraction. It's not in the back of my head gathering thoughts or gathering steam and making me worry about it, Another hypothesis, as I record my warm-ups and cooldowns, I think those exercises will have a more calming effect on my mental game in general, and my mind will subconsciously be working on these ideas on and off the felt. And I think so. It's hard to gauge what happens behind the scenes in my subconscious, but I believe that journaling and putting an emphasis on tilt prevention and assessment helps me to become a better tilt-free player. I really feel that that's the case. So, at the beginning of the week, my win rate was negative 3.22 big blinds per 100. Now, I'm at 5.61, which is lovely. That's an increase of 8.83 big blinds per 100. That's awesome. Number of proper warm-ups, I only played 3 sessions. One session was over 1,000 hands, but I only played 3 sessions, and I did 3 warm-ups. I also did 3 cooldowns at the end of those sessions, so I'm happy about that. My in-session mental state rating. So, session 1 was an A. I think I have this mixed up right here. Like I had just showed you, the second session I was down a buy-in, but it didn't really, or wait, was it the second session? Oh crap, no, that was right. Whoops. My bad. Yeah, so the second session was where I was down almost 4 buy-ins. And yeah, my mental state started to go down. The beat started to anger me, but I brought it back under control. At one point, I just started kind of spewing, and I probably lost like 20 big blinds, give or take, opening with like Jack 8 offsuit and stuff like that. But I just brought it back under control. I kept my logic statements in mind, brought it back, and then I ended up winning back roughly between 1 and 2 buy-ins to be only down 2 buy-ins for the day. And that third session, when I was up 4 buy-ins, I was hit in the head with the deck. I was feeling super good, getting aggressive, making a lot of aggressive plays, using my bigger chip stack to try to bully players off, and I got a lot of folds, a lot of steals, bluffs went through. So it was a great session, played really well. Mental state was really well. And then my in-session play rating. Now, I always try to be just as honest with this stuff as I can, because normally I don't share these with anybody. I'm sharing them with you now. But if I was to lie and just say I'm playing, my mental state is AAA, and then my in-session play rating is AAA, that doesn't do me any good. I want to give myself honest assessments of my play and my mental state in order to help me in the future. by being honest that I actually had B's, and if I had any C gameplay, I would admit it here. But I didn't have any. Thankfully, I avoided that. But when you're honest in your assessments, you're just helping yourself for shizzle. So session 1 in play rating as a B. I wasn't entirely focused halfway through. Started playing well, and I don't remember what happened. My attention started slipping, not paying attention. Maybe I was sleepy, whatever it was. Session 2 got a little spewy because of an estimated 4 buy-ins down, but I brought it back under control and won about 2 buy-ins before ending the session. And then, like I said before, in that third session, my play rating was an A. I got slammed in the face by the deck. So I was catching a lot of sets, flushes, and straights, and I hit, I don't know how many sets. I hit, nor do I know how many aces, kings, or kings were dealt to me. I got a lot of really good hands, but at the same time, I was really focused on my play, thinking through and speaking through my decisions. I made a lot of good bluffs and a lot of really good value bets. When I was betting, I had a really good idea of what he could pay me off with, and the opponent showed up with those kinds of hands. And then sometimes, value betting and they fold, but so be it. You got to go for value when you've got the hand, regardless of them not having it or not. Yep, so those are my the quantifiables that I set out to record at the beginning of the week. Study methods and content, completed all that stuff. We didn't talk about Elliott Rose MP3s, but it is really good stuff. I just didn't get to it in this, So assessing tilt, that questionnaire from the Mental Game of Poker, really good stuff. It's a great questionnaire. I started answering this on day 23, and I recommend all of you answer that as well. It'll open up them eyeballs. Elliott Rose, we didn't get to this. Learning about tilt. From the Jared Tendler podcast. Yeah, very good article. No, it was a podcast. Very good podcast. It was informative and insightful with a good Q&A part. He answered 2 really good questions, one about fear and one about goals and setting goals, if I remember right. That's what it was. So really good podcast there. And then we also learned about tilt with this Dr. Patricia Cardner interview, and it was good stuff. It led to some interactions between me and Dr. Cardner on Twitter, which is awesome, and it led to me getting her new course, as well as a future interview with her, and we discussed this all on day 25, and actually today in day 28 as well. Cool beans. Okay, let's review the day-by-day real quick. So, on day 23, the first day of study. Hand reading practice, great. Answer that questionnaire. I don't have it here in these notes, but I answered that questionnaire. I answered like 5 questions from it or something. It's like 31 questions total. It's a long questionnaire, so I didn't get to all of it. The second study session that day, hand reading practice where I had pocket kings and I arranged myself. Then we got to that Jared Tendler interview. A great question from Dennis right here about fear. Great response from him. And it actually allowed me to have an action step, or I came up with an action step because of what I learned here. So I created a hand tag called should bet but didn't. So I can mark hands where I know a 3-bet or a C-bet or a raise first in is good, but out of some sort of fear, I'm not able to pull the trigger. So I did that right there. That was a good one. I've used it. I tried to use it once. I haven't used it actually at all. I tried to use it once because I encountered one situation when I should have bet but didn't. But other than that, not yet. But I have that there as one of my tags. Second question from Andrew Piper about healthy, achievable goals. Good stuff right there. The host asked a question about who's a good candidate for mental coaching. Yep. And then this was my warm-up for the play session later that day. Did a hand review on day 25. And then we talked all about Dr. Patricia Cardner's interview where she gave the 3 aspects to playing great poker and being a triple threat. That was all really good information. What can I take with me into my next session or just into the future in general? I came up with 9 things, 9 changes or things that I can instill in my life to be a better poker player, be in a better mental state, and just to help with life in general. Day 26, a little hand reading practice, and we reviewed some game tape, found no mistakes, and found some notes that I made on some opponents. Let's see here. Hand reading practice, on day 27, yesterday, hand reading practice, ace-king offsuit. Then we talked about my warm-ups and basically all the different steps I take in my warm-ups, all the things I think about, which can be super beneficial, I believe, for all of you, for everybody out there. Let me see here. And then we came up with a gratitude list. So if you ask yourself, you can kind of adjust the poker focusing question to something else slightly different. What's the one thing I can instill in my life such that by having it, my outlook on life and my mental state within poker will be improved? And gratitude for all the awesome things in my life is the answer. So I came up with a list of all the great things going on. Not all, many of the great things going on in my life. Things that I'm happy for, grateful for, thankful for. Did a play session. Here's my warm up and my cool down. And then this morning did a range versus range analysis. It was successful. We put the opponent on a second pair hand, which beat us. But yeah, he had the ace 8-9 offsuit in his range. So we were correct there. And then it covered cooldowns and then talked about Patricia Cardner's new course that I'm learning from. In a week from now, I'll come back next Friday with a one-sheet note on what I learned from the course, as well as a 5-question quiz. Because one of the things I talk about in the book is for every course you get, every webinar you get, you've got to spend the time to finish it. You bought it for a reason. If you don't finish it and don't actually put into action the things you learn, you just wasted your time and money. Yeah, so do not do that. Finish every course, every webinar you get. And then I talked about gaining perspective to help get beyond tilty emotions. And this was some great stuff I covered right here. The whole basic idea behind this is sometimes we get angry and tilty. The emotions start to boil over when we face suckouts, when our bluffs don't work, when we constantly get dealt pairs and we never hit a set like 10 pairs in a row. So that kind of stuff can put you on tilt. But if you just realize you have another 50 years of playing poker, for example, how many sets won't I catch? You're dealt pairs in 50 years. I'll probably be dealt 360,000 pairs, all the way from aces to deuces. I'll 360,000 times see a pair. I'll only hit 39,000 sets, which means roughly I am going to whiff my set when I'm set mining. I'm going to whiff the sets 320,000 times in the next 50 years. So if today I suddenly whiff hitting a set with my pocket fives, and that's number 1,365 out of 320,000 in a 50-year span, it's not a bad thing at all. Why would I get upset now? Am I going to get this upset over the next, number 1,366, then number 1,367, then number 1,368? Am I going to keep getting upset over that? When you put into perspective how many times bad crap is going to happen to you at the tables, that should help you stave off the tilt and help you to not get upset when it happens tonight, in tonight's session. Yep. And then wrapping up the week, of course, is what we're doing right now. Let's see here. Reviewing day by day. Great. So that is all the stuff that we learned about the mental game for the week. Now let me show you what I always love to do at every end of week study. My one-sheet notes. Shebang. So assessing and preventing tilt. This is my one-sheet notes. So everything that we just discussed. Answering the questionnaire from the mental game of poker, talking about fear, something very interesting, high pressure situations, it's about C game versus C game. Whoever can avoid that C game will be the winner. Anyone who is motivated to improve their game, is willing to do the work, is ready for a poker coach of any sort. What Dr. Cardner talked about, 3 aspects to being a poker triple threat, all right there. Downswings aren't real, the cards don't have a memory. It's just what you do when things seem to be in a downswing. That's what really matters. Warm-ups, all the things I think about. Gratitude, how important that is. Cooldowns, the things I think about for cooldowns. And your perspective is what dictates how you feel about good and bad things happening. Realize that you're going to suffer this beat, this whiff, this suck out over and over in the next 50 years. So are you going to flip out every time it happens? No. Well, you might, but you shouldn't. Let's see here. And now here is my 5-question quiz. And I'll be sending these out via email. So you don't need to take notes or anything. You'll get this if you're part of the study email list. Yep. So the 5-question quiz. What are the 3 aspects to being a poker triple threat? Technical prowess, mental control, and physical health. And those are my answers right there. What are the things in life I am most grateful for? Family, health, and my poker career. There's a ton of tiny things, but these are the big 3. How do warm-ups help to prevent to prevent off tilt, how to stave off tilt, how to help to prevent tilt. Well, they help you to keep your why at the top of mind, and there's the rest of my answer. How do cooldowns help with assessing your tilt? How can changing your perspective on your beats help you deal with them better? And then there's my answer. So these are the things I do at the end of every week of study. Create a one sheet with all the most important stuff, and then create a 5-question quiz to kind of force myself to just think through my answers to 5 important questions. All right, and I'll be sending that out to you. Let's see here. So that's the end of the week for assessing and preventing tilt. I hope that you all got a ton out of it like I did. I mean, my goal with this, with planning, with completing a full week on study, or a full week of study on tilt, is to not suffer from it anymore, to get beyond it, to make it a small part of my game so that I play in my A and my B game, but hopefully my A game most of the time. And that was a really interesting thing that Dr. Tricia Cardner talked about. Chip Reese being always in his A game when his opponents were in their B and their C game after 24 hours sitting at the table, that kind of stuff. Yep. Alrighty, so wrapping up the 28 days of poker study journey. Thank you all very much for for joining me on this full 28 days of study. So let's review our stats for the full 28 days. Go to this right here. All right. Gravy. Making it so I can easily toggle back and forth between the two of them. Okay, so negative 143 and negative 6.8. So not the prettiest, but I mean, it could have been a lot worse. Oh, could have been a lot worse. But seriously, not so bad at all. I'm happy with these results. My stats are getting better. I'm working on my game. I'm focusing on being more aggressive. So this is just one of those normal downswings that everybody suffers from right here. Yeah. So for the entire month, not so bad. $143. Yeah, for the entire month right now. Now, one interesting thing is that negative 143. This is at my 6 max games. If we look at my full ring games, I'm at positive 51. So altogether, I'm less than 4 buy-ins down at 25 NL for an entire month of play. Of course, I want to be positive, everybody wants to be positive. You can't always be positive, but this has been overall a very good month. I improved my skills with all my study. I'm playing better. And then so, yeah, hopefully next month things will turn around even more. So for the entire month of play, let's start looking at this stuff. Hmm, 19 for the month. 15. That one is below 20. Let's go 14.6. 19.0. $4.5. Not too shabby. Yeah, better than I was at the start of the month. Now C-bet into flop. Oops. Oh, thank you very much, Onu Ronaldo. You admire my motivation. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. So C-bet. 64. C-bet turn. 56. Let's look at all my AF stuff here. So I'm just going through. We'll take a look at the numbers a little bit more closely in a little bit. Flop AF 4.8. Flop AFQ 55. Turn AF 5.0. Not too bad. Turn AFQ 56. River 4 on the squat. River AFQ 44. Okay. Now, where's that total AF? There it is. 4.7 total. Okay, we'll come back and look at these a little bit closer. 54 total. 1 money at the showdowns. 53 went to showdown. 24, yeah, a little low. Both of those a little low, but not too bad. Would like them better, of course. Ooh, Call River and 1 at showdown, 40%. Better than it was. Better than it has been. Good. Let's see. Fold to flop C-bet. 52. Just fold to flop bet. 65. Fold to turn bet. 73. Good. Folding a little bit less than the prior week. Fold to derivs. 79. Getting way up there. Look at that. I mean, average winning player is 43 to 66, and I'm well above that the whole time. I need to be getting to the river with better hands. I also need to be, and in order to do that, I should be calling and raising with better hands, of course. But I should also be bluffing on the flop and the turn more than I am to end the hand right then, to take the pot down before we get to showdown when I have those crappy hands. So I need to be upping my post-flop aggression as well. Attempt to steal. There it is. 30. Better than it was. If you see at the beginning before the month started right there, I'm up a little bit at least. Fold to steal, 83. Small blind, 3-bet steal, 3.9, 5.1. Well, much better right here. Oh no, actually my big blind is about the same. Oh, just about the same right there. I was looking at these numbers. Better than midweek or mid-month. Yeah, but in general, I still need to be upping these right now. But I did a lot to get that up this past week. So we'll continue that trend. Let's look at some win rates here by position. Oh ho ho, look at that. I'm positive. I'm only negative in the blinds. But I should definitely be much more positive on the button in the cutoff, without a doubt. Like, I mean, my win rate should be up to like 30s and 40s. Even 50s on the button. Like, it should be much better. Look at that. That first week, 73 big blinds per 100 on the button. Yeah, I can be doing much better. 17, 8, 11, 27. So things could be worse, but you can see I've got decent stats. I mean, things are looking okay. Alrighty. How many hands did I see in position? In position, 463, 16.8. 463, 16, that's it? 16 big blinds per 100? Wow. Pretty low. At least it's positive. Out of position. $471 hands. Wow, 50-50. What's the win rate? Oh, better. Odd. So normally you would expect your win rate, like it was before the month, higher in position, higher in position. Now these are odd. It was worse in position, but higher in position, and then now worse in position. And it fluctuates up and down, you know. I would imagine, over a really big sample, it's got to be more positive in position than when out of position on the flop. So you can see 463, 471, it's going to be 50-50. I mean, it might be 49-51. Let's run the math real quick, like 934. Yeah, 50-50 is good. All right, so let's take a look at these stats here. So remember, this is our 4-week total for the entire month. And then over here is the average winning reg numbers in League Tracker. Once again, if your number falls within this, that doesn't make you a winning player. But it's indicative of, especially if you're on the low or the high end, how you compare to just the average players. You can see I'm on the low end on both of these. I need to be upping this for sure. It's possible that I can turn these numbers into super profitable numbers with really high win rates, but that's going to require some finesse for gaining value from my opponents, because I'm so tight. They think that I'm probably only betting for value right there. So I think I need to open up my ranges a lot wider so that it's more easier to get value from my opponents because they think I'm bluffing. How is fold to steal? We'll get to that in just a sec. My fold to steal here. VPIP. Oh, the ratio. Yeah, that's fine. It's right in the middle there. We're good. 3-bet. I need to improve that, of course. Get that up. C-bet the flop. Pretty good, but I would like it higher. I always want it between 65 and 70. Roughly 70, I feel, is pretty darn good. It's hard to read somebody who's at 70%. But when you start to get here to 60, and I am pretty darn low compared to that, I need to up my C-bet game for sure. Flop AF, flop AFQ, looking decent there. Fold to C-bet, right in the middle. Getting high on the fold to flop bet in general. So maybe I'm folding to a lot of check raises. I'm folding to donk leads. I'm folding to just C bets in general. Just when you fold on the flop, that's when this number goes up. So I do need to fold a little bit less. C betting the turn. You could see that there's C betting the flop at 64. This indicates that some turn honesty right here. So if you have position on me and you're the pre-flop raiser, you better be C-betting that turn. I'll fold most of the time. Turn AF, a little high, but that's fine. River AF, okay. River AF aggression factor is just a little bit high, but it's not too bad at all. Aggression factor, what that is your aggressive plays, a ratio of your aggressive plays to your passive plays. So it's the bets and the total number of bets and raises divided by the total number of checks and calls. Or is it just calls? It might just be calls. Yeah, it's just calls. So for every call I make 4 bets or raises, is what that means. Let's see, fold to river. Okay, attempt to steal at 30%, which is pretty good. I do want that upped a little bit, like to 33, 34%. My fold to steal at 83%. I'm good, right in the middle, right there, Ronaldo. So yeah, my fold to steal is good, right where it should be. You can imagine if 2 players in the small blind and big blind, if they're both at 83, if we both fold to steals 83% of the time, that means we fold together 69% of the time. So it's not super profitable for people to steal against 2 players who have this fold to steal percentage right here. If we were both, like if me and in the small blind and the big blind were both 90%, that means we fold 81% total. It's super profitable to steal from those 2 players. So at 83, I'm good with that percentage. I don't think it needs to be any more or any less. But I do want my... Wait, where do I have that percentage at? Okay, right. Oh, it's in the same. I do want my small blind 3-bet re-steal higher, as well as my big blind 3-bet re-steal. I don't have to call more in the blinds, but I do want to re-steal more because people in the cutoff and the button, they steal so much. I've got to be taking those 3 big blinds from them quite often, especially if they're willing to fold even in position as a steal. Total AF, I'm good with those numbers. 1 money at showdown, like we discussed those already, but I just need to improve those as well. I need to get to the river with better hands or blow my opponents off the pot earlier in the hand. My win rates and everything right there. Cool. So let's see here. That's that. Okay, the calendar. So this is the calendar of everything that we've studied for the entire 28 days. Week 1, assigning accurate opponent 2-bet calling ranges. Poker Tracker 4 filters week 2. Week 3, facing flop raises as the C-better. And then week 4 was assessing and preventing tilt. So you can see that through all of these studies, these are really important things that could just help in the future. I can build so many more studies and build my skills on top of these foundational ideas right here. I mean, no matter what, assessing and preventing tilt, right? In the future, no matter what stakes I play, no matter what game I play, no matter if it's live, if it's online, if it's a cash, or if it's a tournament, it doesn't matter. This study that we just did this week is going to help in every aspect of poker and in life as things move on. Poker Tracker 4, no matter what stats I play, if I have a good understanding of how to utilize Poker Tracker 4, how to find and fix my leaks because of it, how to dive into my opponent's hands, all that stuff, I mean, this is going to help in the future no matter what. Assigning accurate opponent 2-bet calling ranges, most pots that we get into, or most flops that we see, we're normally the aggressor pre-flop, right? Because we're a loose aggressive or we're tight aggressive. We're the raiser and we get lots of calls, or we're the three better and we get a call as well. So assigning accurate calling ranges to our opponent is super important for future, or for post-flop good decision making, and for everything we study in the future. And then facing flop raises as a c-better, because we're the pre-flop opener so much, we have the chance to c-bet a lot. So we've got to understand good c-betting practices, and part of the defense against c-bets is raises. So understanding why our opponents are raising is super crucial as well. So all this you could see, I mean, we studied some really good stuff for the month, and this is all going to be included. Everything that we talked about, every study session, everything I've sent home, every email will all be included in volume 2 of my book. So I'm going to compile all of this into a book, which will be a fun process. So my goals from the start: documenting my 28-day journey to improve 4 specific areas of my game, which will help me earn more. Done. I haven't officially earned more. It's only been 8,000 hands, but you know, all of this work is just, I'm going to build upon this work, and I'm already a better player for the work I've done. So eventually I'll be earning more, but it's just a short-term downswing. Next, demonstrate to my audience how beneficial the study techniques are from my book, How to Study Poker. And I think I've done that. I've shown you just about every study technique from this book, at least one time within these 28 days. Gained 300 followers on my email list. At the beginning, I was at 518. Right now, I'm at 717, so I gained 199. I didn't hit my goal, but I still consider that a success. If you think about it, I gained 200, which is roughly a little under 40% of my initial list. That's great, man. Things are going really well. Gained 300 followers on my Twitch channel. Thank you for all of you who, are Twitch followers, of course. I was currently at 26 as of 3/26, and now I'm at 52. That's 126 additional people following me, which 126 divided by 26 is roughly 5x. I have 500% more people following me on Twitch. So I didn't hit my goal of 300, but so what? I still consider it a success. Things are looking up. Things are definitely looking up right now. The content I produced during this challenge will all be included in Volume 2 of How to Study Poker. You know it. And I got some great content, and the book should be released sometime in July, give or take. Actually, no, not give or take. It'll be in July or even in June, but most likely July, just looking at my schedule, because it's a lot of work creating a book, of course. The number of words, so you can see right down here, 13,000 words within this document. Number of hours of video that I'll transcribe and use in the book, over 28 hours of content. Actually, it's probably closer to, just estimating him, 28 days on average, about an hour a day. But I also have the Twitch, the play streams, as well as these weekly wrap-up streams. I mean, I've literally put in at least 35 hours, and all of this stuff, I'll transcribe it, so there's going to be tens of thousands of words there that I'll have to compile into the book. Number of hands played, 8,300. Money lost, 143, but I'm good with that. I'll turn it around, definitely. And this is just 6 max. Remember, I was up $50 or so in full ring, so I'm down only $90. 4 buy-ins is not much at all. And thank you very much, everybody, for joining me on this journey. I sincerely appreciate it. This, of course, isn't the end. I'll keep streaming for now, study and play sessions, and I'll be back with Season 2 of 28 Days of Poker Study in July or August. Not sure when. Probably right around the time that I release the book, I'll do a celebratory second season of the 28 Days of Poker Study. Not sure when, but sometime in July or August. Alrighty, well, thank you very much, everybody, for taking part in this. If you watch this 1 day, 5 days, a year from now, whatever, send me an email if you have any questions. I just thank you very much for taking this time to consume my poker strategy and my poker study content. I really appreciate your eyeballs and your ears in the podcast. Alrighty, well, I am out of here. Got a lot to do today, so take care, everybody.